The beautiful Stony Sky Center at Boise State University.
She's brave. Her continuous quest to learn and to grow are nothing short of amazing. A PhD in higher education administration, an MA in psychology, a BA in math and piano, and certification as a yoga instructor are just some of the amazing credentials she's earned. But her professional commitment to engaging in incredibly generous and productive work around the world has shaped companies, careers, and countless lives. I'm so grateful that she's here with us tonight. Please join me in welcoming the inspiring Dr. Kathy Hagler.
Is that working? So I'm really delighted to be here, and I would like to start out by saying that I've got a table full of my characters, and I would like to do I need that?
No.
Not yet, okay. There is an art to scars. So what I want to talk about tonight is the art of scars. There is a word called kintsugi. It's an ancient Japanese term that stands for taking broken pottery and putting together with gold. Kintsugi. And so when I saw the pictures of kintsugi, I thought, that's our life. It's taking broken pieces and putting them together with gold so that we're whole again. So I kind of like to learn about things. So I decided, well, I really need to learn more about kintsugi. So I started looking for a place that sold kintsugi pottery. Well, I couldn't find one, and so I found in the phone book, on my email, a kintsugi counselor. So I went to a kintsugi counselor outside of Asheville, North Carolina, which you wouldn't think you would find a kintsugi counselor. And I didn't even call her. I just walked up the stairs, knocked on the door, and said, hello, are you a kintsugi counselor? Like I knew what I was talking about. And she said, well, yes. And I said, well, do you sell pottery? And she said, no, I don't sell pottery. And I said, well, I need to buy some pottery because I've had cancer and I know that broken pottery you put together and it makes you whole again. And she said, well, I can really help you, but she said, you're going to have to break your own pottery. And I said, well, I don't really want to do that. And she said, well, it would really help you. So I go and I said, where do I get pottery? And she said, well, I wouldn't suggest you go to an antique place. So she said, I would suggest you go down to this second-hand place, find a good piece of pottery, and you bring me a couple of pieces in case it doesn't work well. So I went and got a piece of pottery, went to her office, went upstairs, put it in a bag, and she said, okay, we're going down to the concrete. This is a true story. So I take the bag with the pottery in it and I smash it onto the concrete. And that was kind of scary because I felt, well, this is all broken. So I take it up to her office and I lay this pottery out and I said, I can't wait to watch you put this together. And she said, no, you don't get it. You're going to put it together. And I said, but I'm not an artist. And she said, but you're the one who needs to learn from the brokenness of the pottery. So it was quite amazing. I took the pottery, all these pieces were laying there, and I'm sitting on the floor because she usually deals with young children, not that young. So I'm sitting on the floor with all these broken pieces of pottery, and she was very gentle with me. And she said, look at the beauty of the pieces. I want you to think about lives and how they get broken and they're still lives, but they're pieces of lives. So we had this wonderful discussion about the broken pottery, and as we did that, she said, now let's start trying to put it together, and she talked to me about how you put one piece first and the other piece next, and so one thing led to the other, and before you knew it, here's my piece.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
And I'm going to auction it off tonight. Not really, I'm keeping it. But what I wanted to tell you is that it was a wonderful experience. And it really brought to my mind a lot of things that I'm sure some of you have gone through. I felt like it was me on the table in several times, and I felt very sad about it. And then I felt like it was my husband who died of cancer that was on the table. And as I put all these pieces together, and then when it came up and looked like this, and what I saw is it was whole again. It was whole again. So what I've learned from this is that we have the power within us to be whole again. Not only do we have the power to be whole again, but we have the freedom to be unique. So I'm proud of my scars, and I've got plenty of them. I've got them emotionally and physically and psychologically and spiritually, but I'm proud of them because I'm actually whole again. It has given me the opportunity to be much more expressive about how I feel about all of the things you go through when you have cancer. So I want to tell you a little story tonight, and I want to tell you how both Kensuchi and a pet mule actually helped me get here. And I was going to play the sound of a mule braying, but I decided that you might all leave, so I'm going to do it myself. But I really want to tell you how I got to feeling like I'm feeling, which is better. So it started out when I was 6 years old. I got cancer. I got cancer of the arms. Now I look back on it, and when I was 6 years old, most of you weren't born, because I'm really pretty old. And so I didn't know what that was, but my mother said, you've had cancer. But it gets in your subconscious that you've had cancer. When I was 16, my dad died. When I was 26, my uncle, who was my substitute dad, died of cancer. So all at once, between 6 years old and 26 years old, I had all this cancer. And I was beginning to see that this is a really hard thing to deal with. So cancer became kind of a real key word for me. Then what happened was, right after that, hold on just a second. Here we go. Right after that, I started telling myself a lot of stories. And I don't know about you, but I'm really good at that. So what you do is you have something happen, and then you make up a story. And it usually doesn't have anything to do with it, but you make up this wonderful story. So I decided that really cancer and depression and grief were really kind of after me. That was how I was feeling. Right after I got married, had a son, he was killed in a car wreck. Right after he was killed in a car wreck, my husband died of cancer. Right after he died of cancer, I got cancer. And then right after I got that cancer, I got another cancer. And so you can start telling yourself a story. There's something after you. So I was telling myself these stories about all the issues and what was going on in my life. My distress really peaked out. It was almost like a sea of my own opinions fear was everywhere. And one of the things that I've learned about cancer is that a fundamental life view is that we humans are afraid of a lot of things. And I was very much afraid of cancer. And you know what the fear feels like. So I'm an experienced caregiver. I'm an experienced cancer patient. And I'm an experienced yoga teacher that teaches people that have cancer how to do yoga. So I've kind of been there and done that, and I felt all the pieces, and I wanted to find a way to get away from the fear. So I want to tell you a secret, but I don't want you to tell anybody else in Boise. I'm really old. I'm really old. Last week was my birthday, and I was 73. Thank you. I'm hoping that I'll make it to at least 93. Or 100. So when I go back and look at this, I want to tell you a little bit more of the story. So I was living in Los Angeles, and my husband worked for Chevron. He was a refinery manager at El Segundo. And I came home one day, and not that I remember, but it was 2:32 in the afternoon, and it was January the 11th, 1995, and he was on the couch crying. 6'8", sitting on the couch bawling. So that can't be good. And so you know the first thing that comes to your mind is cancer. And so he said, "Our son's in trouble." He said, "Our son has gotten on drugs, and he was 12. And so we're going to leave LA. I'm going to quit my job at Chevron." And he was 45, and I'm a consultant, and I didn't make that much money. So I'm quitting my job at Chevron, which, you know, that was almost worse than cancer. And he said, "I'm quitting my job, and I'm going to become a full-time dad. And guess what? We're going to move to Boise." I said, "Where?" He was actually from Boise. He went to Meridian High School. So he quit his job at 45. We went to Boise. He came to Boise. And he was a stay-at-home dad. Our son really, he came around. We put him in a private place for a private school. He got clean. We decided when he went to high school that we would think about where we wanted him to go, and we went to one of the schools, and on the right side was a police station, and inside, and with the other one on the right side was a chapel. So we decided maybe God could handle this better, and so we put him in Bishop Kelly. And so he went to Bishop Kelly, did a really great job in football, and actually then went on to the Navy. He was my best bud. He was my best friend. 9/11. The two planes hit the Twin Towers. 2 days later, the Navy came to my house. And they said, "Your son was on the way to the ship, hit a deer, and went over a mountain." He was 19. And so that was it. And my husband died then. So I really get it. And I think what I really want you to know is about the distress. I really do believe that it's this distress that we just can't live with it. You know, we can't live with the distress that happens to us when something like this happens. And he never really came around. I'm not sure he ever smiled after that. And 10 years later, he was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer, went to his brain and his spine, and passed away at home. And I thought, well, I'm going to be okay, but I really wasn't okay. You know, I really wasn't okay. I still was in grief, and I've been in grief ever since I was 6. And so when that happened, then 2 years later, I go to the doctor and find out I have breast cancer. And I was always really afraid of breast cancer. So I don't want you to tell anybody this either, that I was really big. Right? I mean, I was just a little bit. Oh, bigger. I was a size H. Yeah. So I always had this view of, oh God, whatever I get, don't let it be breast cancer. Because I don't know what I would do, you know? So Dr. Prier was my surgeon, and I know she's not here this evening, but she's such a wonderful person. So I went to her and she said, well, you know, you have breast cancer, we're going to do surgery. I looked down and I said, I don't know how you're going to do that. You know, I said, what are you going to move this one to the middle? I mean, I really did say that. And she's laughing with me, and she said, no, but we know how to do this. And I don't remember the lady's name who was the plastic surgeon. I don't suppose. Are you? Is she here? Hi! That was my favorite part. All right. We've established that one. Not one. And I have to tell you, they were such wonderful people. I mean, just such wonderful people. I love you. And, you know, in fact, when I went in after they took my bandages off, they told me I could be in movies. It was just it was a wonderful experience if you're going to have it, to have that way. So I had these wonderful people. I went through the process, got my treatment, started going to see the doctors. 2 years later, I go to the doctor. They said, we better do a brain scan. So they did a brain MRI, and come across the doctor's desk, and it said, you have a cranial metastasis. So my head just about blew off. Because I said, you know, first I was worried about this. Now I'm worried about this. I mean, and it's the stress. But I knew it was the stress that was going to do it. So I had to figure out how to get away from the stress, because that was the really part that was really hard. So I read this article about a mule. Is this a true story? So I read this article about a mule. And so I'm going to tell you about the mule. Her name was May. And she belonged to this farmer, and May was old like me, and May fell in a sinkhole. And the mule said, the mule fell in a sinkhole, and the farmer kept saying, I don't think I'm going to save May because she's old. I'm just going to leave her in here, and I'm going to go around and get the neighbors, and we're going to put dirt on May. We're just going to bury May. And I'm thinking, you know, that's one way to do it, is that you just, if you're not worth it, you just bury it. So he got the neighbors, they were throwing dirt on May, and May was down there, one load of dirt after another load of dirt, and then all you could hear was, and then you're, like I was going to actually play you a video. I'm just going to show you what she sounded like. So she was begging and crying, and farmer looked down there and she was crying. Mules are the only animal that have tears. So then May was crying these big tears. Maybe not, maybe I just made that up. So maybe that was it. So what happened is she was so upset, she was hysterical. And then she looked over and she saw that the dirt was building up on the side. So she put a hoof up, or whatever a mule's foot is. And she realized that she got a little taller. So she put another one up there and she got a little taller. So she just stepped up. She just stepped up. And so she would shake it off. And she would step up. One more step, and one more step. You just shake it off and keep stepping up. And I read that and I said, why can't I do that? Why can't I do that? You know, why can't we all do that? Why can't we just shake it off and step up? Well, I have a picture for you. Here's May. It changed my thinking. It gave me some freedom. So I want to tell you about shaking it off and stepping up. So I said, if you look at step up, S stands for just get a vision. Decide, I'm going to do this. And this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to step up and I'm going to create this vision. So what I did is, I'm a consultant, so everyone has to have a vision. So I wrote a vision. Here's my vision. And I framed it and I put it in my bedroom. And my vision says that my mind, body, and spirit dances through life, learning experiences and teaching myself through this wonderful existence. So I hang that in my bedroom. And then T, as in step up, stands for the fact that you've got to be really, you've got to really believe in yourself. And so the T, it's very interesting because what I believe in is this whole issue of the law of attraction. If you think about negative things, you're going to get it. So the best way to do that is to think about positive things. And so I started really reading and thinking about positive things. And one of my physicians says, quit looking at the internet. So I quit looking at the internet and I started reading good stuff. And then E stands for energy and education. So I started reading a lot, I started learning a lot. P stood for passion. I started meeting a lot of people who have cancer, started talking to them. U stands for unique. And so I started accepting the fact that I had scars. I had physical scars, mental scars, spiritual scars, all those scars. But accept those scars and understand that I'm okay with those scars and that I can be unique in the process. So that's what I want to leave with you tonight, is I really want you to think about step up. I want you to think about getting that S for and putting together something that really says, where do you want to be? How do you want to be as a human being? And who can you help and how can you do it? And T is really believing that you can really take off and really be positive in your life. And E for energy and P for passion. And the last P really stands for pay it forward. And to me, that's the key. And that's what you're doing tonight, is paying it forward. And I want to pay it forward. So when Amy asked me if I could do this, I said, I really want to do this. Because I really do believe that if we could figure out a way not to be distressed, if we can figure out a way to be lighter, if we can figure out a way to step up and think about the law of attraction, I think that what we can do is we can look like Meg. So what I want to leave with you is I want to leave with you, hold on, let's see. I want your vision to be clear and deliberate. So as you think about what you're doing here this evening, we need to get rid of cancer. We need to help the researchers. We need to have them study and help us get rid of cancer. May you have a deep well of grit and strength. That's what I didn't have, and that's why I got cancer. And so I'm hoping for a deep well of grit and strength. May your hardships be opportunities, so that you see opportunities to really help other people. When my husband died, he left me a little card that said, it is what it is, and it's going to be what you make it. You have a choice. And that's what I've really realized, is I have a choice, that I can be free and I can step up. And I guess that the other thing is really to shake it off and step up. And every time you think you just can't go another step, just shake it off and step up. There is a great song out now by Taylor Swift, and I don't listen to much Taylor Swift, but it's called Shake It Off, and I'm not going to show you what she does. But she does it really well. And there's another song that they're going to play at break. It's called Scars. It's by a group that's called I Am They, and we're going to play it during the break. But it's about, I'm thankful for my scars because they made me who I am. So please remember Kintsugi. Remember that you're this pot, these are your stars, and you're more beautiful and more unique than you were before. So I really thank you tonight, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening, and best of luck to each of you.
Please could we have one more round of applause for Kathy